watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world. The headlines. The International Monetary Fund warns that global public debt could exceed $100 trillion this year. Two companies from the United Arab Emirates expressed strong interest in investing in the Philippines. Ayala Corporation sees strong demand from both institutional and retail investors for its 15 billion peso reissued preferred share offering. And the largest ever dinosaur skeleton is going up for auction in France. First, the financial markets. Wall Street's major indices closed lower, pulling back from its record Tuesday. Now, the Dow and the S&P 500 both lost 0.75%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq lost 1%. This comes as the price of crude oil tumbled and as tech shares faltered.
I think in general, what's going on with stocks today is we've hit all-time highs throughout this year. I think we're sitting on 46 days of new highs on the S&P 500. And so, the real question would be whether we're making a new bull market or whether we're really peaking out this equity era. And I think that's the primary question. Our firm very much sits in the camp of this is the end of an era for stocks.
Over in Europe, markets also ended lower, posting their biggest one-day drop in over 2 weeks, also on weakness in tech stocks. The FTSE 100 lost 0.5%, Germany's DAX shed 0.1%, while France's CAC 40 lost 1.1%. Now, here in Asia, stocks are trading sharply lower following Wall Street's losses. Japan's Nikkei 225 is down nearly 2%, South Korea's Kospi down by 1%. Elsewhere in the globe, down under, Australia's ASX 200 is in the red by 0.4%. Checking on the commodities market, oil prices are recovering after sliding to a near 2-week low. Brent crude is up 0.5%, trading at $75 a barrel. Meanwhile, gold is down by 0.1% to $2,659.80. Two companies from the United Arab Emirates expressed strong interest in investing in the Philippines. Acting Trade Secretary Cristina Roque confirms that she's met with representatives from logistics giant DP World and renewable energy developer Masdar, as both firms are keen to invest in the country. DP World, already a key investor in Asian terminals, plans to invest up to 25 billion pesos to expand port operations, while Masdar is committing at least 600 million pesos to develop solar, wind, and battery storage projects. 5 more public-private partnership projects worth 28 billion pesos are expected to be awarded by 2025. According to the PPP Center, as reported by Business World, these projects include the new Bohol International Airport, the UPPGH Cancer Center in Manila, the Bislig City Bulk Water Supply and Septic Projects in Surigao del Sur, and the Dialysis Center of the Baguio General Hospital. In addition, 8 more PPP projects may be awarded next year, provided they receive approvals from their implementing agencies. These include the upgrade, operation, and maintenance of airports in Iloilo, Calibo, and Puerto Princesa. Other notable projects include the Metro Manila Subway, the Boracay Bridge Project, and the Philippine Automatic Fare Collection System. The total resources of the Philippine financial system rise nearly 10% as of August, driven primarily by growth in bank assets. Data from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas shows that the total resource of banks and non-bank financial institutions reached 32 trillion pesos compared to 29 trillion last year. Bank resources jumped 11% to 27 trillion pesos, while non-bank financial institutions record a more modest growth of 2.5%, bringing their total to just over 5 trillion pesos. These resources include key assets like deposits, capital, and debt securities. This increase matters because it signals a healthier financial system, which enhances economic stability and fosters greater lending and investment opportunities. Filipinos living abroad are sending more money back home. Cash remittances in August grew by 3%, reaching nearly $3 billion compared to the same period last year. However, this is slightly lower than the $3.1 billion sent in July. For the first 8 months of 2024, total cash remittances climbed 3% to $22.2 billion, up from $21.6 billion in the same period last year. The bulk of these remittances came from Filipinos in the United States, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Singapore. Remittances are a key driver of the Philippine economy, supporting household spending, stabilizing the peso, and boosting consumption, which fuel growth. Overseas, the International Monetary Fund is urging countries to implement fiscal tightening policies as global public debt is set to surpass $100 trillion this year. In its latest Fiscal Monitor report, the IMF projects global debt to reach 93% of the world's GDP by year-end, with a possibility of hitting 100% by 2030, surpassing the peak seen during the COVID pandemic. In a worst-case scenario where weak growth, tight financing, and policy uncertainty persists, public debt could soar to 115% of global GDP in just 3 years. That's 20 percentage points above current estimates. The IMF warns that now is the time for fiscal adjustments as economies enjoy solid growth and low unemployment, as delaying these measures could lead to more severe economic challenges ahead. Over in the United States, presidential candidate and former U.S. President Donald Trump rejects concerns that his protectionist trade policies and fiscal proposals will harm the American economy or strain relations with allies. In an interview with Bloomberg News, Trump says his policies will strengthen American manufacturing and generate enough revenue to address worries about the rising federal debt.
And we're all about growth. We're going to bring companies back to our country. You look at even today, as I was driving over, I see these empty, old, beautiful, like steel mills and factories that are empty and falling down. Some have been converted to senior citizens' homes, but that's not going to do the trick. And we're going to bring the companies back. We're going to lower taxes still further for companies that are going to make their product in the USA.
He also asserts that while he believes he would have the right to influence the Federal Reserve on interest rate policy, he would not issue any direct orders to the central bank.
I don't say make the decision at all, but I've been a very successful businessman. I've done really good, much better. Now people are understanding how good I've done because they're seeing it much better than the fake news wants to give me credit for. Really good. I don't think I should be allowed to order it, but I think I have the right to put in comments as to whether or not interest rates should go up or down.
We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back to Basis Points. Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange opened just a few minutes ago. Let's take a look at the initial figures. On the day, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is set to meet to decide on key interest rates. Right now, the PSE index is up by 0.2% to 74.20. This as gains in the financials, holding, services, and mining oil counters are being offset by weakness in the industrial and property firms. Now, analysts widely expect the Bangko Sentral later on to perhaps slash interest rates by 25 basis points. Now, this is going to lead to cheaper borrowing costs, increased consumer spending, overall great for equities. On the flip side, it will have a negative impact on the peso. Now, at the foreign exchange market, let's take a look at how the peso opened. It opened slightly weaker from its previous close. It opened at 57.87. From its previous close, rather, at 57.87, opening at 57.90 against the greenback. Now, on to corporate developments. Ayala Corporation reports strong demand from both institutional and retail investors for its 15 billion peso reissued preferred share offering. Philippine Stock Exchange CEO Ramon Monzon confirms that the issue's over-allotment option has been fully subscribed, highlighting the positive market reception. This capital-raising move will provide Ayala with a larger war chest for expansion across its various sectors. DMCI Holdings secures shareholder approval to raise 10 billion pesos through the sale of preferred shares to the Consonghi family's privately held firm, Dacon Corporation. The funds will be used to finance DMCI's planned acquisition of Cemex, the country's fourth largest cement manufacturer. DMCI Chairman Isidro Consonghi assures shareholders that the share sale will not affect the conglomerate's dividend policy. Next week, the family will launch a tender offer to buy out minority stockholders of Cemex though the plan to keep the Cemex company listed on the Philippine Stock Exchange. In other news, Lopez-led Energy Development Corporation is setting aside 25 billion pesos to expand its geothermal project in Negros Oriental. This funding will cover the cost of drilling new wells in the 282.5 megawatt Southern Negros geothermal project with the aim of sustaining and maximizing the power generation capacity of the facility. The investment will also support the adoption of emerging technologies. Converge, owned by billionaire Dennis Anthony Uy, is teaming up with Lopez-owned First Philippine Industrial Park to enhance connectivity across the 600-hectare Batangas hub. Converge will utilize the industrial park's dark fiber infrastructure to provide fiber optic connectivity to over 150 businesses located there. This marks the first major initiative of the newly formed Converge Global Business Group focused on providing connectivity and technology solutions to enterprises. Now, in other news, Bloomberry Resorts, owned by billionaire Enrique Razon, secures a 72 billion peso syndicated refinancing facility from 4 major banks. The lenders involved in the deal are BDO Unibank, Bank of the Philippine Islands, China Bank, and the Philippine National Bank, with BDO Capital acting as the lead arranger and sole bookrunner. Razon explains that this refinancing facility will reduce the company's debt burden and help it conserve cash as Soler North in Quezon City scales up operations. It's also seen to strengthen Bloomberry's bottom line. This new facility replaces Bloomberry's previous 73.5 billion peso syndicated loan from 2018 and a 20 billion peso loan secured in 2020. Overseas, cash-strapped Boeing is turning to Wall Street to bolster its finances. The plane maker announces plans to raise up to $25 billion through stock and debt offerings, in addition to a $10 billion credit facility from a consortium of banks. Analysts estimate that Boeing needs to raise as much as $15 billion to maintain its credit ratings, which are just one notch above junk status. Boeing describes these moves as prudent measures to ensure liquidity during this challenging period. This comes as the company faces massive financial losses from a strike by union workers and from a slump in the production of its popular 737 MAX jet. We're taking a quick break. Basis Points will be right back. Welcome back to Basis Points. The European Commission is set to tighten its migration policies following pressure from several governments across the EU. Now, in a letter, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told EU leaders that she will discuss important migration issues at a meeting this week. This comes as she plans to speed up the implementation of a new migration pact to improve the handling of asylum claims and to manage migrant flows more efficiently. The Commission also wants to quickly return migrants who don't have the right to stay in the EU to designated hubs outside of the bloc. Even though the number of irregular migrants last year was much lower than during the 2015 crisis, migration still remains a hot-button issue affecting elections across Europe. Turning now to some light news, the largest ever dinosaur skeleton is going out for auction in France next month. The Apatosaurus measures 25 meters long and was discovered in a Wyoming dig in 2018. 80% of its skeleton is original, dating back 145 million years. The artifact is expected to fetch up to 15 million euros or $16 million at the auction on November 16th. This long-necked dinosaur, famously featured in toys, books, and in the film Jurassic Park, could attract private collectors or museums looking to boost visitor numbers. High-value artifacts like this often garner interest from the art market and can influence investment and cultural and tourism sectors.
You don't have to forget that a dinosaur, it's a scientific piece. It's part of humanity and of story of Earth. So even if you are the owner of this one, the scientists have the access. You will keep the access to this piece and to learn about dinosaur. There is many to learn, and it's because for the head, we have never seen such a head complete. For the tail, before this piece, they have never seen this before, for example. They didn't know that there is teeth like this. Or this part also, it's new. In the Museum of America, you don't have this. It's new. It's never seen.
Over to Germany, where a hospital eager to serve meals around the clock is turning to a robotic chef for assistance. From German classics to Asian cuisine, the robot can prepare up to 120 different meals in just minutes. Food orders are placed through a touch-screen display, making the process quick and easy. But the robotic kitchen doesn't work completely on its own. Hospital staff fill its refrigerator daily with pre-cut and pre-cooked ingredients. Robotics and automation in hospitals signal a potential transformation in both healthcare and food service industries, increasing demand for technology solutions that enhance efficiency, lower operating costs, and address labor shortages. And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Maiki Oreta. We'll be back tomorrow for more news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel, always on top.